Hey there, this is the Small Fish, Big Podcast, a show for the gallus few who dream and do. If you're a small biz owner, a creative freelancer, or someone dreaming about leaving your 9-to-5, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I'll chat with an inspiring guest who will share their entrepreneurship story before we delve into a discussion about running a creative business. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Small Fish, Big Podcast. This is a bit of a milestone episode for me and for the podcast, so thank you so much for joining in. And I have a very special guest lined up in honor of 10 episodes of Small Fish, Big Pod. Today I am joined by Eman Ismail of Inkhouse Writing. Eman is an email conversion strategist and copywriter who writes revenue-boosting, relationship-building emails for business owners and e-commerce brands. Hi, Eman.
Hi, Rhiannon. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So I know I've introduced you a little bit there already, but can you tell us a little bit more about your business?
Sure. Okay, so I am the founder of Inkhouse. It is just me and my assistant, and I kind of went from being a general copywriter, I used to do a bit of everything, to specializing in email strategy and copy, because I am just in love with email and email marketing and what it can do for businesses. So I write welcome sequences, I write abandoned cart sequences for, when people they add a product to their cart and then they don't buy. So that sequence would, try and encourage people to go back and buy it. That's how we're boosting revenue through that. Post-purchase sequences. So what are the emails that people get when they've bought your product? What happens next? How do you get them to become repeat customers? So much sales sequences and sales launch emails for those who are launching courses and memberships and digital products. So all the sequences, basically, all the email sequences. And the aim is always to, increase connections and build that connection between the sender and their email list, and to also boost revenue.
That is quite a lot. That's a very kind of diverse but also niche area of copywriting, with you specializing in the email side of things. How did you get into that?
Well, I was doing general copywriting. So when I first became a freelance copywriter, I just left the charity. So I kind of naturally fell into charity copywriting, and I was doing a lot of work for charities. Then I kind of started doing a bit more work for businesses rather than nonprofits and charities, and found myself doing a bit of everything, website copy, emails, even a bit of social media at one point. And I wasn't loving everything that I was doing. And, I love writing and I know that's what I love to do, but I wanted to kind of stop taking on projects that I wasn't completely in love with. I think it was a disservice to me and also a disservice to my clients as well, especially because they can find someone who loves that particular thing, right? So I had set up my own email list, and I was emailing my list and keeping them up to date with what was going on with Inkhouse and sending them, tips and tricks and all sorts of things and entertaining stories. And I just got so much good feedback about my emails, and people would reply to my emails, laugh with me, and tell me how much they enjoyed it. They would, tell their friends about it and other people about it. And it just kind of spiraled into this thing. And I realized that is what I really love to do. Like, I love writing my own emails, and I would love to write everybody else's too. So that's how that started. To be honest, it took me a few months because I was a little bit scared of niching down. But once I made that decision, I thought, right, I'm gonna go for it. Overnight, I started calling myself an email strategist and an email conversion strategist and copywriter, and I just did it. And it's so interesting because what you talk about, you attract, basically. So I just switched the conversation I was having to email, and was then giving out tips about boosting your email list, increasing the numbers on your list, sending out better emails that get you sales, and then the email clients came and the email projects came, which is brilliant.
That's great. So how long have you been a specialist in this area?
Oh, what are we in? If we're in June now, it's been about 7 months. So this is really still very early. And I've been doing email copywriting for maybe 3 years actually. So it's always been something I've done, but from when I said this is the only thing that I do, that's been about 7 months at this point. And it's interesting because I do all the email funnels, but I also do everything that's connected to the email funnels. So if the email funnel needs, say, a landing page, or, you know, I'm writing emails to sell your course, but you need a sales page as well to sell your course, I'll do the sales page too. So it's a whole kind of package, so the client can come to me and get all their needs, as opposed to having to go to loads of different people.
That's great. And a question that I always like to ask when people are at a stage in their business where they have kind of found their niche and taken that step to niche down, which, as you said, is very scary at first, because you think, oh, I'm kind of narrowing my target market down so much. And it's this big worry of, will I get enough work? So can you tell us a little bit about your experience with that and how you found it now that you're 7 months in?
I mean, the whole process surprised me, honestly, because I was scared, and I thought, oh gosh, it's really weird, because half of me thought, right, this is going to be easy. I'm going to do my website. I'm going to just get everything done. And then I'm going to be an email strategist and copywriter. And that's that. Actually, I found that I'm still transitioning. I'm still working on redoing my website. It's taken, the kind of transition period has been a lot longer than I thought it would. But what has been really great is that I have been working on email projects and email clients. And I would say that now is the time where I can really say I'm honestly working on ideal projects across the board with all ideal clients, which is where I want it to be. So that's brilliant. But I did find that, again, when you change the conversation, you attract what you talk about. So I was talking more about email, and, you know, whereas before I was doing, I was talking about all kinds of copywriting and helping people kind of with all types of copywriting. And when I zoned in on email, people started recognizing me as the person who talks about email, and the person to go to for email, and the person to refer to when people need someone, you know, for their emails. And so it's got to a point now, which is brilliant, where if somebody so much as mentions the word email, say in a post, multiple people tag me. And so it's been a really great experience. It's been easier in some ways than I thought it'd be, but it's also been harder in other ways.
That's great. I think it's so scary to kind of make that leap. And for me in photography, it's a little bit different, I guess, because it's more to do with like the style that you're attracting. Or over in the kind of wedding and family side of my work, I talk a lot about shooting very candidly and very relaxed, and shooting unposed and things like that. And when it comes to weddings now, I mostly shoot quite non-traditional, like elopements and things like that. I don't shoot a lot of kind of big traditional weddings, but with the brand photography side of things, I find that a little bit more difficult. And I've not gotten to a point yet where I've said, these are the type of businesses I want to work with. It's kind of hard to find your niche. And I think it's interesting that you just came to this realization that the email side of it is really where your passion lies, with your own business and with others. So I'm hoping that I kind of hit that point and can really niche down further as well.
I mean, one of the things I always say when people ask me about how to niche, how do you decide on your niche? I always say, you don't decide on your niche. Your niche chooses you. You don't choose your niche chooses you. And that's really what it felt like for me. I wasn't looking for it. I'd kind of resigned myself to being a general copywriter. I thought I was happy with that. I mean, I wasn't enjoying all the work that I was doing, but I just kind of thought, well, you know, you can't enjoy everything. You just got to kind of take the good with the bad and that kind of thing. Just get on with it. And actually, I realized you really can enjoy every single project that you work on. But it was definitely a case of it choosing me, because I wasn't looking for it. And it was just when I started to kind of listen to what people were telling me that I thought, oh, actually, I really do love writing emails and coming up with emails. Like it's the highlight of my week. Like Fridays are my content days. So Fridays are when I sit down and write out all my emails for the rest of the month. And it's my favorite day of the week. That's what I enjoy doing most.
There you go. And I love what you said about it finding you, because sometimes I think when you start a business or you start kind of freelancing and working for yourself, you have this idea in your head where it's like, oh, I think I'm going to like this, or I think things are going to go this way. And I don't know about you, but I found that my business has totally pivoted and gone in a million other directions everywhere except where I thought it would.
So many pivots, but I think the thing to remember is that it's okay to pivot, and it's okay to go back to what you were doing or to change direction. You know, no one is waiting and watching for you to fail or for it to go wrong. It's all an experiment. I really think that's what business is about. It's about experimentation. And you know, when you're a business owner, you want to do this for a really long time. So it is highly unlikely that you're going to be doing the same thing for, you know, 10, 20, 30, however many years. So it's okay. It's okay to pivot. It's okay for things to not work out and to try something else instead.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think depending on what kind of person you are as well, like when I was growing up, I knew which things I was interested in, but I was not the kid that knew from the age of like 3 that they wanted to be a nurse or a teacher or whatever, a doctor. I kind of always liked different things, and I would change my mind every month about what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I still feel like that a little bit. I still feel like there's so many different things that I would like to try, or, you know, directions I might like my business to go in. And I think that's a good thing. It keeps us from getting bored.
Absolutely. And I think that's a quality that most business owners share. And I think that's what drives us essentially to, you know, build our own businesses, because we want to do so many other things, and because maybe traditional employment doesn't allow us to do all the things we want to do. So we want to create a role for ourselves that allows us to do exactly what we want to.
Which is kind of exciting, because you just never know. And, you know, you've obviously found this with your work, as you sort of found your niche, not accidentally, but, you know, it wasn't planned. It came to you, as you say. And I think I love that different types of work I've started doing because somebody suggested it to me. So I never used to do any workshops or anything like that. And then a bunch of people started asking for it. Hey, why don't you offer workshops? Or I would love to book a one-to-one and learn how to take better photos for my own business. And that wasn't something, I never saw myself as a teacher, but it's amazing how these things just pop up.
Exactly. And that's why I say, listen to the people around you, listen to what your audience are saying and what they want and what they're asking for. Because often that's where the gold lies. Like you, people were asking me for, I'd actually started doing workshops, and then people started asking me for an online course. And that was something I'd never considered. And I thought, so I just listened to the people around me and turned my my live workshops into an online course that was recorded, so people could do it whenever, wherever. And that's how that came about. So I think there really is something in just listening to what your audience is telling you. I think that's a really good kind of path to follow, as long as, you know, it makes you happy and it also is in line with what you want to do and what the plans that you have. I think that's a really good way to go.
I think that's great advice. And it's interesting how sometimes that's hard to do, or sometimes we forget to do that. Like, I think if you're kind of too streamlined towards that one direction or that one goal, it's easy to just kind of block everything out and end up missing an opportunity that you might have really enjoyed.
Absolutely. And one of my mentors has this kind of motto where when an opportunity arises, she asks herself 3 questions. Now, I can't actually remember the third one, but the first two are valuable enough for me to share. So the first one is, will it make you happy? And then the second question is, will it make you money? Because again, as business owners, that's what we want and we need at the end of the day. So will it make you happy? Will it make you money? And I think that's a really good kind of prism to look at things through.
Definitely. And the money side of thing is interesting, because I think for a lot of us, we go into business for ourselves because, as you say, those traditional sort of 9-to-5 roles maybe didn't let us be as creative or do as many different things as we wanted, or it wasn't quite the right fit. So we think, okay, we'll go out on our own. We want to be happy. We want to do the kind of work we love. But I think it's easy to forget sometimes that you still need to make money and you only have so many hours in a day. And I've done that myself, where I've spread myself too thin and been like, oh, this would be great to do, and it would look great if I was doing this, and oh, this would really complement my business. But you end up spreading yourself so thin, and you really do need to kind of take a step back and take an objective look at what you're doing. And I think those questions are great because you need both sides of that.
Absolutely. And I think I actually have, God, I've got so many experiences like that. But something that I've been really feeling like that recently was I mean, I get a lot of emails and messages and you know, people contacting me, freelance copywriters contacting me, asking me how I set up my business, how they can, you know, what should I charge, where should I start, you know, who do I follow, all those kind of questions. And for a really long time, I did spread myself really thin, actually, you know, offering people free advice and getting on phone calls with people for half an hour, 45 minutes type of thing, and walking them through, you know, how I became a copywriter, what they can do.